I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, December the 19th, brought to you in part by the International Brangus Breeders Association. Brangus, nothing fake here, just real ranchers raising top quality beef. It's where these packer margins are tightening significantly and probably about as tight as we've seen them all year long. And definitely a different story than what we saw during that aftermath of the fire in Holcomb, Kansas when they got so wide. But the packers are really allowing these box beef cutout values to plunge right here at the end of the year. Not exactly sure why that's happening. They don't have to take that market. They evidently want to move product and continue to clean their shelves out here at the end of the year. But man, it's really taken a dive. Took a big dive on Tuesday and another one on Wednesday. Let's look at the board for Wednesday. December live cattle futures up just 2 cents at 122 1/4. February down 17 at 126.12. January feeder cattle down 60 cents at 144.55. March down 82 at 144.90. Your fat cattle trade didn't really see too much happening except on the Fed Cattle Exchange, which the Fed Cattle Exchange is a good way to market your fat cattle, and not very many people are embracing it, and that's one reason why it's not working any better than it is. But it is transparent, and it's a way to discover what the true value of those fat cattle are. They just sold one pen on there that they had advertised, but it was a pen out of Texas, 268 head. They divulge all that information. It's right there for you to look at. They brought $1.20, and that's a better market than we've seen in Texas so far. And for immediate delivery, they only had them rated at 60% choice, which is not nearly as good as some of the cattle that are getting the better prices. And they did have beta agonists, so you can't say that they were all natural or anything like that. They had 207 days on feed, which is kind of typical. But that's a good way to tell what the market is. You know, Texas does not print right now on your mandatory reporting there because there's not enough players in it, and it divulges the confidentiality. Well, here's a way to divulge it, and the heck of it is, I never thought it was a good idea for Fed Cattle Exchange to put those sales into the weighted average for Texas, because it kept your packers from coming in and giving a premium for cattle when they were really short of them. But although we haven't been really short of them a lot since the Fed Cattle Exchange has been going, previous to its inception would have been a better time to get that deal going. But that $1.20 on that one pen of Texas cattle is going to go in the weighted average. So it's a good sign there for that. But you know, consigning your cattle to an online auction like that, Fed Cattle Exchange, selling them through a marketing cooperative like Consolidated Beef Producers or Producers of Omaha, a place like that pools cattle. Iowa Cattlemen's Association is doing that also. Doing something like that, you're starting to be part of the solution instead of the part of the continued problem. And I was talking to a guy today that called in and said, well, I sold some cattle, and he said, I'd like to get that market out there somewhere. And you know, he says, well, I get this price, and then I get $1 over you know, what that weighted average was last week. Well, that's not really a negotiated market. That's a formula, and by definition those are formula prices, and that's what 85% of your trade is these days, and it doesn't really give you a true price discovery on the spot market. Box beef cutout values were down hard. Like I said, your packers are being forced to give more money for cattle, and these box beef cutout values are dropping. To move product, they're having to lower them quite a bit. And after that huge week that they had last week, not sure exactly why they think they need to lower the price so that they can get the movement to go. But choice cuts on Wednesday afternoon, 209.57 down 324. Select cuts 201.57 down $1.90. Choice select spread is now $8. It hadn't been that long ago, guys. It was like $22. and it's $8 now. I know people aren't rushing out there to buy steaks to put on the grill because the grill door is frozen, so they can't get it open. But on that lower movement, they did have 155 loads for the one-day trade, which is not too bad. What else is going on? Wanted to mention Four State Stockyards in Exeter, Missouri. They've got a big special weanback sale coming up here on Friday the 20th. Be one of the very last sales of the year. You can watch them on dvauction.com. You can get on there and view that sale, and you can bid right there. They've got about 2,500 head, and I tell you what, the cattle will be right in that four-state area, just like the name sounds, where Kansas and Oklahoma and Missouri and Arkansas all come together. Or you can put your foot right there. Four State Stockyards, Exeter, Missouri. Big run of weanback cattle. Be long time weaned, have all the shots and ready to go, and they'll be in a lot bigger bunches than what they typically have. Another sale that's coming up here, Fort Pierre Livestock. Fort Pierre, South Dakota's got a special bred cow and heifer sale. I don't know if you guys saw the video on social media, but they had a pot that was loaded full of them coming into town there, and went under a low-hanging bridge and cratered out on it, but that was a bad deal, but I don't know that it hurt anything. But they've got about 2,500 head for that sale on Friday, December the 20th. A lot of these replacement sales right here at the very end of the year. There'll even be some between Christmas and New Year's if you look around. Cattle on Feed report is coming up here on Friday, and don't know if it'll be a big shaker or not, but I thought I'd give you what the analysts' expectations are, or actually the average of the analysts' guesses. The on-feed numbers for December the 1st coming in at 101.9 on the average, so they're expecting more, and you would assume that we got more than a year ago with the big numbers that we've got on feed. We've got a lot on feed, but they're all on the front end. We don't have a whole big surplus of cattle, market-ready cattle. All of them are on the front end, and the bulk of them calves. So it's going to take a while to get those fat. Those will be coming out early in the summer, and that's another reason you see that huge drop-off from April to June board, nearly $9. But November placements, average of the analyst guess at 101 even, and marketings for November 97.2. Look at your sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 7,200 head. Didn't get quite as many of the big yearling feeders in as they thought. Had a good run of calves on Tuesday, 3,500. Feeder steers on Wednesday, $5 to $6 higher. Feeder heifers, $3 to $5 higher. I tell you what, this market is really landing the end of the year right on its feet, because everything's just gangbusters going up. Calves are higher, yearlings are higher, big feeding calves are higher. Everything's selling good. The calves on Tuesday in El Reno were quite a bit higher, and everything's just ending the year on a positive note, and this thing could really take off when we get back after the first of the year. Dodge City, Kansas, winter livestock, 2,500 head there. The feeding cattle there steady to $2 higher. Weaned calves $2 to $4 higher. Similar type of a deal. Got several quotes I want to give you. I want to talk about one. Green City Livestock Market, Green City, Missouri, up there in the green hills of north central Missouri. They have that's a premium type sale there, not unlike your Sand Hills and Nebraska sales, but it's more like the way that Steve Evans runs that sale, why it's so premium. That those producers follow his lead. Those cattle come in there, they're right. They usually have them backgrounded for a long time, but they can get the price on the big yearling cattle. I want to tell you about a load of heifers they had in there at Green City, 908-pound preg-out heifers. And you say, what's preg-out? Well, the man that owned those cattle had turned out the best top quality heifers he could find to get them bred, to sell them as bred heifers. These are the ones that did not breed. So you know the quality's going to be right. You know he's left them out there a while, so they're carrying a little bit of age. They're a harder yearling than what you can find right now. And they've wooled them around a little bit. They've pregged them and everything. The weigh-up was good on those cattle. The quality was outstanding. And that load of preg-out fancy black heifers weighing 908 bring 151.75. heifers, guys. You think, how in the world can they do that? Those cattle could make the April board. For one, they're a yearling, and so they're going to put pounds on like crazy. For another, they're a heifer, and so they'll sell those a little bit quicker than they would a steer that they're going to make weigh 16 or something. But those big stretchy heifers like that could sure weigh 14 something. But they can make that April board, and that's the way you can hedge those cattle. Look at Stockman's Livestock, Yankton, South Dakota. 73 head of steers weighed 869 at $154. Wow. You think Stockman's only sells fat cattle high? They sell feeders high too. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma had several good quotes, but I picked this one out. They had a good sale there, a snappy sale, got overdone early. I talked to John Cooper there. He sold the whole deal because his dad, Dale Cooper, recovering from some heart surgery there, so John had to sell the whole thing. He said that Dale's doing fine. He's kind of crappy and bad mood, pain in the ass, so everything's normal with Dale Cooper there. And talked to Jonathan, and he said the sale was easy to sell, so that was lucky. He had to sell the whole thing, but it was easy to sell because the market was so good and the bidders were just firing on him. He sold us 76 head, 778 pound steers, $156.50. That's your feeder flash for Thursday.